Hey guys, a new KARDS balance patch was announced today. On the 9th of June, which is next week Thursday, 9 cards will be changed. And in this video we will take a look which cards these are and how this might impact their playability. So let's not waste any time and jump right into it. Alright guys, first card we are looking at here is the Wellington. I'm clearly targeting to nerf Brit Air mostly. Get the deployment cost decreased to 7 and also the operation cost increased to 3, which is really massive, I guess. Also the stats are just getting switched. Has 4 attack now and 3 health. And if in your hand it only gets its cost reduced by 2 for each order, but still very hard hit here for the Wellington. So originally, for every order you played during the game, the cost was reduced and only has 2 operation cost. Now only when you have it in hand, it gets the cost reduced. 1 more attack, but 3 operation costs. So I think this card might no longer be playable in Brit Air because it's just a little bit too slow. 4 attack is big, but yeah, would be surprised if this would still be played. I think you just have to try it out and see how often you have it in your early game hand and then how many orders you have left. Usually Brit Air is playing a lot of draw cards, so it's just sticking in your hand. You might risk to overdraw. I don't know. Looks like a really hard hit here on the Wellington. Might not be playable any longer, honestly. Next one is the 34th KARDS, also getting changed effect there. Only if it's in your hand, the cost gets reduced. Each time your HQ takes friendly damage. Reduce operation cost. So that's a little upside, but I think this 2 cost reduction, only when you have it in your hand, is a really big hit on this card. I'm not sure why they changed it, but there might be a reason. Maybe with some upcoming new cards, that's the reason why they changed this. Otherwise, I would not really understand why they changed it, because I think this card was not really played a lot. It was not really strong. So that's the only reason I could think of why they would nerf this. I don't know. Yeah, but it was not played before. Maybe in Soviet self-damage it was kind of playable, but as I said, not completely OP. So yeah, I don't understand this change, and yeah, I think this card is just played even less now than it was before. Yeah, that's the third card that is getting changed its text to if in your hand, reduce the cost by 2 for each time an enemy countermeasure triggers. So theoretically you can have a 0 credit mix 3, which is pretty impressive. That's why they probably changed the health to 4 and the deployment cost to 4 too. But yeah, how many times do you face a deck that plays countermeasures? So mix 3 was not good before or not playable before, and yeah, I think it's even less playable now. But I think we might be seeing something that is playing with these abilities. Like they changed 3 cards to exactly the same text if you're in your hand, reduce the cost by 2. So yeah, maybe we see something coming up there. The 4th card with this, yeah, I completely forgot about this. The Bologna also gets the text if in your hand. It gets the cost reduced by 1 for each time you lose a unit. So basically, if you just top deck this later in the game, it still costs 3 as soon as you deploy it the turn you draw it. When you have it in starting hand and you lose an early unit, it's just basically the same effect like it was before. But I think they thought Bologna Regiment just being a little bit too strong with 7 health for 3k. So they reduced the cost, changed the text, which is not changing a lot, I guess. I think it's just making it a little bit stronger when you top deck it later in the game. But overall, I think it just equals out a little bit. So I think Bologna is still playable with 6 health, still very strong. So yeah, I think this card has not changed a lot. And very important, Nervy. I'm not sure if it's enough. because second piracy was OP before, and I'm not sure if the 2 health reduction are helping here to make it less OP, because when you deploy it, you always get the cheap unit that you do it on, or any unit you do it on, like a swordfish, for example. Kill one of your units, and then you still have to deal with the second piracy or the unit that got pincered. But yeah, with only 2 health, it's way more easy to kill the second piracy now, and this way also the other unit that just got pincers is losing his death effect there, or his deadly effect, or just killing units for only dealing damage. So yeah, a good nerf. I'm not sure if it's enough, but it's a good start to just downgrade the power level of second piracy. Then, we all waited for this so heavily. Henschel got nerfed here. It's no longer giving +1/+1 for each unit type. It's now giving +1/+1 for each other unit type. So is it... So it's no longer giving +1/+1 for the tank, I expect. And not for the Henschel. It's not clear 100%. Give a friendly tank +1/+1 for each other unit type. Okay, so the tank is not counting, I expect. So if you have a tank and Henschel, it's still giving +1/+1. It was +2/+2 before. Yeah, a good change. It was a little bit too strong before the Henschel. Like if you have an infantry, the tank, and the Henschel, it was just +3/+3 for 2 credits, and you have the body, which is just completely out of control, and then you just follow it up with the combined arms, and the Henschel gives an additional +1/+1 because it's a fighter. So it was just completely OP combo, and I think we really needed that one. I think it might hit the Henschel deck hard, because +1/+1 can make a big difference. But I think the deck is still playable. It was kind of a high roll deck. If you had a perfect starting hand, your opponent almost had no chance. If you just fell back in the early game and your opponent could establish some guards, you just insta-lose with this. So it was a hard to play deck, but some players really were successful with it. And yeah, I like to see this nerf there on the Henschel. Then we have the United We Stand getting changed. It's now only costing 1 credits. It has the same effect. It deals 2 damage to a unit, but both players gain 1 credit slot. And I think this might kill the card, maybe. On the other hand, it's only costing 1 credit now. So you can do this on turn 1, turn 3, play the 332nd, the milk truck, that is that infantry unit that is giving you 1 additional credit slot plus 2 health on your HQ, and then you can ramp straight into warbonds. So it kind of opens that line now, and I like the reduction of the cost, because now war production suddenly makes sense again, because war production was just completely useless with United We Stand at the same spot, having the similar effect and dealing 2 damage. So I like this change. It's a little bit more risky to play it now, because you also give your opponent a credit slot. So I think it's no longer an auto-include into every US deck. Will be interesting to see. I think it's still playable, but as I said, no longer an auto-include. Maybe in Hyper Ramp it still makes sense, because it gives you a good turn 1 removal. You can ramp into other ramp cards to give you even more credit slots. So yeah, we'll see. Still playable, but yeah. Then, yeah, very interesting change here. Sortie is giving you 2 options now. Give a friendly unit mobilize, or add the frap to your hand. Yeah, give a unit mobilize. Cool effect, can be strong on stuff like California, units that cannot be targeted by orders, for example. So you're a little bit flexible now, and what you're asking yourself, what is the frap doing? That is a frap, costs 1 credit, and if you control a unit with mobilize, you destroy a unit with 3 or less defense. So it's kind of 1 credit deals 3 damage. but only on units that have 3 or less health, so a little bit less flexible, but potential 3 damage for 1 credit sounds like a good deal. But I think I would just prefer Defend and Death maybe over playing that one. But yeah, the Sortie gives you options now, but I'm not really sure in what deck you could play that Sortie. Honestly, with the Frapp as a bonus, I don't know. So yeah, not too convinced, but I like the change, so players can just experiment a little bit with it and see how good it is. Always good to have some changes there. Next one is the Suse. It's no longer pinning all enemy ground units on destruction. Now it has a deployment effect to pin target unit, enemy unit, and its adjacent units. So you can pin up to 3 units now with it, not only ground units. Might make the card playable again, maybe? But yeah, 3 credits for 2/1 bomber. I don't know. Maybe in the Japan pin deck, Japan-Britain. Could absolutely make sense in that. We'll see. But yeah. It's an okay change, but will not make the card like super strong. Just better. Oh, and this is the final change. Zhukov getting touched again. I think the last change has been made a while ago. And they're touching it again because it's just another high roll mechanic in the Soviet artillery deck, for example, where the only infantry unit is the Cuban Cossacks. And if you have Zhukov in starting hand and no Cuban Cossacks, and you play this one on turn 1, suddenly you have a 3/3 in the front line. Yeah, this was just a little bit too much high roll potential, so they changed it. You now draw a random Soviet infantry. It gets +1/+1 and blitz when deployed. So makes it a little bit more consistent and not gives it too much high roll potential. Yeah, honestly, I like it because you can now have big infantry units like the 272nd with blitz on it. So you can instantly trade it into a big enemy unit and get your Josef Stalin out of it. I like it. Yeah. I think it's a little bit better now than it was before, because Zhukov did not make too much sense in a lot of decks. I think it might be played a little bit more often now, even in Soviet control maybe. Just imagine this on a first rifles, for example. Suddenly it's a 4/6 with blitz. Sounds good to me. Yeah, I think that's it. That's the balance changes. I'm pretty happy about the Henschel nerf, honestly. Second Piracy, I'm not really convinced how good that change is, but we will see. Yeah, let me know what you think. And then we hopefully see each other in the stream today and hopefully in the next video. Bye bye.